Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? Me, maybe. Yeah, I call myself a werewolf, and even I'm afraid of this. Welcome back to Congresswolf. On the last session, we had been threatened by a member of F3 while we were walking home from the office. Nermal did very well in a interview with the local newspaper, but picked a very bad place to do a campaign appearance. So things are going very up and down. And we're going to see if we can keep this thing from spiraling too far out of control before either his campaign or we get killed. Big Bad Wolf. Another day, another dollar. This particular day finds you entangled in a convoluted bit of schedule shuffling. Normal's assistant called with a last-minute request to cancel all events for the congressman for 3 days next week. The ensuing appointment Tetris... I like that. Appointment Tetris. Has you in a daze, dates and times and locations swimming before your eyes as you try to sort it all out. A knock on the open office door startles you out of your reverie. Riley? Sydney says from just outside the door. Sergeant Evans and her partner outside. She asked for you. You go out immediately and find Evans talking to Thomas and making notes in a little spiral notebook. Now, you and Congressman Nermal are related, are you not? Evans is asking. Whoa, hello. Thomas acknowledges you with raised eyebrows but keeps his attention on Evans. Distantly, he says. I believe we're second cousins, something like that. And he's gay. Are you kissing cousins? Nah. I'm sorry. Evans sees you standing there and excuses herself from Thomas so she can talk to you. I wanted to give you an update on the investigation, she says. Unfortunately, I don't have much to tell you. The DNA check came back negative, so we're dealing with a shifter who wasn't registered. You thank her for the information, then head back in to get back to your calendar juggling. While you're searching for a good time... Who's looking for a good time? While you're searching for a good time to reschedule Nermal's coffee appointment with a prominent local pastor, your eyes fall on Maggie's paper calendar on the wall. You can't believe you didn't notice it before, but there it is. On the 3 days that Nermal wants cleared, the little round circle indicating the full moon. No, this is the first time them being related has come up. And, yeah, I would love Appointment Tetris if I could just eliminate stuff. Though that means it probably wouldn't get done. You've noticed a lot of little details and some oddities about Nermal over the last few months that all seem to point in one direction. At this point, you can't help but to confront the question, what am I going to do if my boss is a werewolf? I'm going to write a Kindle book about it called My Boss is a Werewolf. Steamy shit. There's never been a werewolf in Congress before. I'd be thrilled to know I was working on the vanguard of werewolf rights that way. Well, he's the incumbent, so technically there has been a werewolf in Congress before, if that's the case, but he must have overcome a lot of adversity to rise this high, and all while keeping such an awful secret. It would really improve my opinion of werewolves in general. I can't believe Nermal wouldn't be honest with me about something like that. It could have major implications for the campaign. What they say about werewolves being sneaky must be true. Racism, there we go. There's no way Nermal is a werewolf. I refuse to believe it. Okay, those tricksy werewolves. Yeah, this is true, and I honestly, I personally wouldn't have minded if I was in this person's place, but, you know, I'm supposed to know everything, so, you know, something like this being held back on me, I wouldn't be happy about that either. But, this line, what they say about werewolves being sneaky must be true, that's vaguely racist to me, but there we go. Oh crud, I forgot we had 4 people. I'm so sorry. Okay, well, we have either I can't believe he wouldn't be honest, or he must have overcome a lot of adversity. I think between the two, the one that makes more sense is I can't believe he wouldn't be honest, especially in light of what happened last night and and being reminded about Maggie. Because yeah, we've been outright lied to, so I think there's only so much sympathy we can have. So yeah, I'm going to go with I can't believe Normal wouldn't be honest. XH is, if you couldn't tell, in the case of a tie, I'm the tiebreaker. So, executive order. It's only natural that Normal would want to hide his lycanthropy if he even has the virus in the first place, but you feel a stab of betrayal at the idea nonetheless. And it's unethical of him to hide something like that from the voters. You find yourself desperate to believe that it's not true, because if it is, your opinion of Normal will go down sharply. I think they're protesting. They're more calling for action on the bill than they are protesting Normal. And I think it's because Normal has been so he's been so neutral about it and just not said anything. I think that's what they're doing. They're trying to sway him instead of protesting. If he said no way, I'm in hell, I'm voting for this, then it'd be protesting. I'm guessing that's not him. That's the way up with someone who's close to him. Yeah, could be. Time flies. Time is money. And while your budget isn't bursting at the seams yet, it's definitely showing the strain. So far, you're meeting all your budgetary priorities, but in a weekly report, Soon Lee calls your attention to the fact that next month's outlook won't be nearly as rosy unless you hit some stronger fundraising numbers or cut the budget. Well, if only he was opening a sausages factory, maybe that could help. Let me check the spending goals here and just see where we are. Okay, yeah, we are in a major budget deficit. We got to cut something. All right. So let's see. Let's see where each of these are. So the finance spending. Okay, here's the problem. If we're going to get money coming in, this appears to be our only option right now. So if we cut that, we're not going to get any money in. So, yeah, we got to leave that alone. I'm just calling that right now. Field spending. Okay, we're apparently going to have to just outright cut something. That would only save us $5,000. Polling. I think we've got to cut the polls. Because I think we can always redo the polling later if we get some more money in. But this will give us $5,000 in the black, and we'll still have some other money coming in from the donors, hopefully. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the polls. Okay, so we do have 5,000. Let me see if we have any options on these. No, just cancel it. Field spending. No, just cancel it. Okay, so yeah, that's very true. Very true, Misfit. Yeah, it seemed to have. I don't remember exactly when this came out, but I think this was just at the start of when Kickstarter was a thing, but before GoFundMe was a thing. So, all right. Well, in any case, we're basically done with the budget, but we do finish the month positive. The morning's poll numbers are in, and it's a mixed bag. Normal is up to 43%, but he's still behind Good Penny's 46%, with 11% of the voters undecided. Sliding into your chair, you pull out your phone to check the voicemails you already know you'll have waiting for you. You've started to hate the sight of a missed call notification with its inevitable implication that someone needs a piece of your time, again. There's only one message waiting for you so far, but you close your eyes and feel your shoulders slump as you listen to it. It's a chirpy office assistant calling on behalf of Candace Wallace, the Democratic whip. She wants you to pick up a tub of Cool Whip. Candace wants to make sure you know that Normal still has party dues outstanding to the tune of $50,000. Oh, dicks. It's not hard to do the math. That's going to put a significant dent in your campaign coffers. But the Democratic Party is definitely built on give and take, and the support Normal can expect the party to give him in this race is definitely based on the amount he lets them take out of his war chest. Chirpy Assistant. I love it. We're not even given a name. We're calling her Chirpy Assistant. Lets you know that Candace is expecting a response from you as soon as possible. You might be able to stall for time, but you're not going to be able to get out of this entirely. Agree to send the money immediately. If Normal is there for the party now, the party will be there for him later. Not an option. This is what I said before, like if it was grayed out, it wasn't an option. Tell Candace I'll send a check right away, then don't send it. Only send some of it now, costs $25,000. Stall for time. Apparently she had hippie parents who knew she was going to be working in an office one day. That's kind of the opposite of hippie. Well, here's the thing. We have the option, apparently, to send some of it, but that's going to put us $20,000 in the hole. So, I don't know. What do you think, folks? 1 is not an option. So, 2, 3, or 4. Stall. Okay. All right. Distracting thing is distracting. There we go. There's no way you can carve $50,000 out of your budget right now. It would mean salaries unpaid, ads off the air, and lost momentum at a critical time in the race. You call Candace back, hoping you can convince her to wait a while longer for her check. It's been a really tough quarter for us, you say. If we can just get a little more time, we want to do our part, but right now we just can't spare the cash. Candace sighs heavily on the other end of the line. I was really hoping not to have another one of these conversations today, she says. You don't respond. Eventually, she says, all right, Riley, we'll put you down for next quarter. Thanks, Candace, you say. I really appreciate it. Candace sighs again. Just remind Laxman to come down to our offices the next time he's in Washington to do his share of fundraising calls. I don't remember Laxman. One of the biggest annoyances of your week, donor presentations. Normal's on the way up in the polls, but he's still below that magical 50% number, and that's got some of your biggest donors worried. Armed with a PowerPoint presentation, a screen sharing link, and a set of talking points, it's your job to walk them through while you're doing what you're doing to get them over 50% and make them believe it. The call gets off to a fractious start with CEO Imelda Torres questioning you sharply on your field targeting of all things. Can you give us any insights into the likely voters model you're using? She asks. You manage to head off that line of questioning by citing Cindy's track record and long experience in the district, but another donor jumps in with a new challenge, and then another. It's clear your talking points and slides are losing them. This is bad, and not just because the combined net worth of this call is north of $10 billion. You know someone will have given their dial-in pin to a reporter. Someone always does. If you can't get this call back on track, you'll read about it in the papers tomorrow. Torres speaks up again. Riley, I think it's safe to say that many of us are concerned that this campaign is on the verge of spiraling out of control. We need to know what you're doing to get things back on track. Congressman Normal and this campaign are going to continue to stay out in front of the important issues affecting the people of the district, and the voters will respond to that. Congressman Normal has been getting a lot of great press coverage lately, and we expect that to continue. Congressman Normal has spent his entire political career working tirelessly for middle-class and working-class families, and we believe that continuing to do that is the best way to win this race. We've assembled a great team with tons of experience running challenging campaigns. I believe deeply in my staff and their commitment to seeing this race through to victory. Okay, we have one vote for 2. 4, 2. Okay. You want to abstain for this one, Goober? Okay. Well, then that means we're going with number 2. A lot of great press coverage lately. You know, like the factory. That all sounds very nice, Riley, but can you give us any specifics, Torres asks. You grit your teeth but force yourself to respond in your most pleasant tone. Of course, you say. Skipping ahead a few slides, you lay it out for them. Newspaper endorsements, positive editorials, the endless round of interviews you've been booking and that Normal has been diligently attending. Finally, you say, the congressman will be appearing in the coming weeks on 2 of the Big 5 Sunday talk shows, as well as on Univision, in a subject that's already been recorded. Or segment that's already been recorded. The call is silent for a few seconds after you finish. Finally, Torres speaks. Thank you, Riley, she says. I think we've heard enough. Other folks chime in immediately, agreeing with her. You feel a flush of relief. They bought it. Maybe. I mean, that could... I think we've heard enough could also mean, and the horse you rode in on. Or the dire wolf you rode in on, in this case. Thanks, Imelda, you say, and carry on with your presentation. There are more questions, of course, but the whole tone of the call is friendlier and less challenging now. You answer them easily. The next day, you scan through your Google alerts for coverage of the call. Very few papers cover this sort of political minutia, but the response from Politics Blogs is good. Normal stands strong with supporters, reads one such headline. Whew. Silver bullet dodged. Your phone is blowing up as usual, but for once it's not about polls or budgets or staff meetings. So you're coming to my birthday, right? Abby texts, and then a few minutes later when you don't respond, you didn't forget, did you? Congrats on the endorsement, by the way. Always knew you'd get it. Of course I didn't forget, you text back, although of course you did. Just keeping track of Normal's endless series of interviews, photo ops, and public appearances is almost more than you can manage. Your social life has fallen to pieces since you started working on this campaign. My social life has fallen to pieces. Somebody put me together. But Abby's a good friend, and you really need some time away from the office, so you fight to clear your schedule and manage to get out of the office only half an hour later than you needed to make it to the bar on time, only to run into Thomas just outside the office door, clearly looking for you. Riley, hey, he says, just the person I wanted to see. Normally you'd be happy to stop and chat with Thomas, but you've already been accused of forgetting Abby's party once. Blow him off. I'm late, and I don't want to be any later. Find out what he wants. Invite him to the party. The more the merrier. Okay. Well, hopefully the bar allows pets. Hey, Thomas, you'd say, I'd love to talk, but I'm running late for a friend's birthday party. Then an idea occurs to you. Unless you'd like to come along, it's just drinks at the Albatross. Okay, so, is something bad going to happen at the bar and we're going to have an albatross hanging around our necks on top of everything else? Good God. So we've got, donkeys, elephants, wolves, and now albatrosses. Like how many more animals are going to get involved in this shindig? Thomas turns his brilliant grin on you. I did promise you that drink, after all, he says. You laugh, so you did. You resume walking down the street and he falls on the step next to you. So what's up, you ask. Sergeant Evans came by the other day, Thomas says. I was talking to her about Maggie and Jonas, and... Wait, what do you know about Jonas, you interrupt. Thomas goggles at you. Was that supposed to be giggles, or... I don't know. I told you about Jonas. Maggie's ex, the werewolf who joined F3. Suddenly it's all clear to you. Of course Jonas is Maggie's ex. That's why he was so upset when you called, why he didn't want to talk about Maggie. But if he had an appointment with her the morning she was killed, then... Did you tell Sergeant Evans about this? You ask. Thomas nods, his brow furrowed. She said you had already pointed them at him, though. I told the police that Maggie had an appointment with them the morning of the day she was killed, you say. I didn't know they were dating. Whoa, okay. Thomas's eyes widen. Are you suggesting that he trails off as if he doesn't want to finish the sentence? How upset was Jonas over the breakup, you ask? Thomas puts a hand over his eyes. Very upset, he admits. He keeps showing up at Normal's campaign office trying to get her to take him back, but then he left town and signed on with F3. I thought it was his way of dealing with it. Maybe he came back, you say. Sometimes they come back. Thomas shakes his head. I don't know, Riley, he says. Even as upset as he was, I can't imagine Jonas doing something like that. He loved Maggie. Sometimes people do terrible things to people they love, you say. Thomas sighs. Well, the police know now, he says. If he did it, they'll catch him sooner or later. I hope so, you say. The bar is just ahead. You point to steer Thomas toward it and step inside, letting the dim lighting and the laughter and chatter wash over you and leaving the worrying implications of Thomas's revelation outside, for now. The bar is packed despite the early hour. Abby reserved the entire second floor for her party, but when you shoulder your way upstairs, it's only a little less crowded. People haven't started shouting to be heard over the din of voices yet, but the vocal arms race is definitely well underway. You lose track of Thomas quickly, but a guilty glance around the room shows that he's found someone he knows and is talking to them. Small world, you think, and continue weaving your way through the crowd. Yeah, very small world. So that's what the hound means. You find Abby leaning against the bar, surrounded by a semicircle of well-wishers. She extricates herself from them as soon as she sees you, coming over to claim a hug and a happy birthday. I'm so glad you made it, Abby said. I didn't think you were going to be able to get away from work. I wouldn't miss it, you say. So how's life in the ink mines? Abby launches into a short story. Yes, the ink mines. That's where I grab hold of an octopus's or a squid's tentacle and just twist until the ink comes out. Yeah, pretty gross work. Abby launches into a story about an awful headline typo that was caught just minutes before the print run was about to start on one of last week's issues of the Star, but she's interrupted by another round of friends showing up to wish her a happy birthday. You raise your glass to Abby and drift away to mingle with the party, moving from conversation to conversation as you spy friends and acquaintances you've fallen out of touch with since the endless grind of the campaign started. Your glass empties, you head back to the bar for another drink and dive back into the next group. Crowd surveying. One such conversation dissipates and leaves you standing alone for a moment in the corner. You scan the room looking for familiar faces. Abby is across the room at one of the little round standing tables talking to a friend. Thomas is standing by himself next to an open window, looking out into the night. And at the bar you're surprised to see Jude, looking as put together and poised as if campaign workdays didn't exist. I forgot who Jude was. Who do you want to talk to? Abby, Thomas, Jude, I just want to go home and go to bed. Yes, seriously, like, I swear ink is about second only to oil in terms of price value. If they ever discover a country that has a reserve of printer ink and figures out how to well it or frack it or whatever, man. Okay, so we're going with 2, and hopefully we can, kitten, but it's up to the game. But I imagine that'd probably be the subject, or one of them. Thomas looks up as you approach the window. He smiles, but his eyes are far away and a little sad. Is your friend having a good birthday? He asks. Definitely, you say. See anything interesting out there? Thomas doesn't respond, just turns his head to look out the window again. You look out too and see what has him so pensive. The nearby full moon, and all the tides coming to crush every building in its way. The nearly full moon shining down on the street. Suddenly you feel awkward, unsure of what to say. Does it get to you every month? You ask at last. Every single month, Thomas said. I think it's the waiting that's the worst. Once the change is on me, I barely remember anything. With visible effort, he pulls himself away from the window and claps his hands sharply. Let's talk about something else. What should we talk about? He eyes you with a speculative look, one you think you've seen before. The upcoming werewolf rights bill. I want the ground-level view on how the vote's going. Maggie and Jonas. I want to find out if Thomas knows anything else useful. I want to know what that look in his eyes is about. Is Thomas flirting with me? Does he have a job for you? All right, vote real quick, Goober Slot, before you go. He's got solo approaches. All right, what's your vote, XH? All right, solidly with 2. I can't stop thinking about the fact that the Jonas who had an appointment with Maggie that morning was her ex-boyfriend, you say. Were they together long? At least a year, Thomas says. I know they were together before he was turned. And then they got crazy into werewolf rights, you ask? Thomas gives you a reproachful look. They were both fighting for our rights even before they were together, he says. But after he turned, Jonas changed. He became militant. He was, well, of course he changed after he turned. You know, he became militant. He was tired of protesting and petitions and lobbying. He wanted to take direct action. Show the normies what real danger is, he said. The normies? Everybody, normies! He started to scare all of us. After she broke up with him, he started following her around. She was about to take out a restraining order before the pack stepped in. He started following her around, reverberates through your head, and it sparks a connection. Hey, what does this guy look like, you ask? Thomas pulls out his phone. I think I've got a picture of them on here somewhere. He taps for a while, then turns it around to show you. You feel the blood drain out of your face. It was dark the night you were followed, and the photo is bright and cheery. Maggie and a short, dark-haired man grinning madly in front of some nameless restaurant. A wolfish grin, almost. But there's no mistaking who the man is. That's the guy who was following me the other night, you say. Jonas? It can't be, Thomas said. He left town months ago. And, amazingly enough, you do recognize Maggie without all the throat torn out and such. You know, that must have been photoshopped out. If he made an appointment to see Maggie the day she died, he probably expected to be in town to keep it, you remind him. Thomas shakes his head. I just can't believe it, he asks. I'm not saying you're lying, just you must be mistaken. You know you're right, but it's not worth arguing about anymore. Anything's possible, I guess, you say. Thomas pulls out his phone and glances at it. Shit, he says. I've got to get home and get to bed. I know that feeling, you say. Have a good night. You watch him walk away for a second and then turn back to the bar in search of another conversation. Yeah. Who do you want to talk to? Abby, Jude, I just want to go home and go to bed. It was marked on her calendar, I think is what it was. And I think it was, I don't know if it said specifically it was an in-person meeting, but I remember it was on her calendar. Abby. Paulie Perrette, here we go. Anyway, Abby is chatting animatedly with her friend, but as you approach them, they kiss each other's cheeks, and the other woman turns to leave. Abby smiles at you as you join her at the table. Having a good time, she asks. Of course. You say, it's been too long since I got out of the office and had some fun. I think I was starting to grow mold. Abby makes a face and you laugh. Having a good birthday, and would you like some blue cheese on your salad? Yeah. She grins. The best, she says. I can't believe so many people showed up. Oh, sorry there. You talk for a few minutes, and then the conversation falls into one of those lulls where you're both searching for a new topic. Sorry, distracted by something here. Yeah, you realize that the two of you haven't had this much time to just talk since the day you took over the campaign. I've really missed you, you say. I've missed you too, Abby says, and for a second you see a spark of an unexpected expression in her eyes. I wonder what she's feeling right now, you think. Anger that I've been so hard to get in touch with lately, I should apologize. Nostalgia for the old days, everything was so much easier when we were in college. I think she might be interested in me romantically, or at least physically. Okay, and this time I promise I will pay attention to everyone. You're the only one for me. XH, I should notice you only get one vote, and there is not a 3,333,333rd option. Okay. There's always been something there between the two of you, some unspoken tension that charged all your interactions with each other. Ugh. You've thought about going for it a few times, but somehow the time was never right, or one of you was dating someone else. And besides, you worried about ruining your friendship. Is tonight the night you want to finally make a move? I've always wanted more from my relationship with Abby. I want to take my chances and go for it. Abby and I make better friends than lovers. I'd rather not risk what we have. Riley is a unisex name, so, and this game is very careful to avoid their gender pronouns, so I don't really know. Alright. Okay, so we got one for yes, one for no. No, I said she's not it's not unisex. Riley is a unisex name. I've heard of both men and women named Riley. I'm not saying this is a I'm not saying that this person has all the fabulous cash and prizes. Well, it's just like names like Terry. I mean, there are different spellings of it, but the base sounding name could be either or. Anyway, okay, so we're going for it. Abby seems to glow in the dim light of the bar. Happy, animated, surrounded by her friends, you've never seen her more attractive, and you don't want to wait any longer to make your feelings known. But flirting with a friend is always fraught, and also filled with alliteration. You don't want to push too hard or come on too strong. Tease her, gently, of course. Just kiss her. Be straightforward. Tease her gently. As opposed to Tenacious D's fuck her gently. Careful, you say. If you keep looking at me that way, I might start thinking you have designs on me. Abby's eyebrows climb toward her hairline. Oh, really, she says, and what if I did? Your heart rate speeds up, but you keep your tone light. You'd have to come back to my place to find out. Ooh, the 1-2 punch. Abby looks up at you from under her lashes and a slow smile spreads over her face. Let's go, she says. I've had enough birthday anyway. Whoa. You can hardly believe your ears, but when you reach out your hand, she takes it without hesitation. Still half certain you're dreaming, you lead her out of the bar without a second thought and hail a cab back to your apartment. You don't speak much on the way there, but you spend a lot of time looking at each other. Abby's face is familiar in the dim light of the cab, but lit with an excited new light that you can feel yourself reflecting back at her. As the door closes behind you, a wave of nervousness sweeps over you, and you suddenly feel the need to start talking about something, anything. You open your mouth, but Abby takes your hand again and pulls you towards her, and neither of you needs to talk about anything for quite a while. In the morning, you wake up to find Abby sprawled over 3/4 of the bed with one arm slung over you. You smile to yourself, being careful not to shift too much and wake her up, but as if she can feel you watching, her eyes open anyway. Hey, you, she says. That was quite a night last night. Good morning, sleepyhead, you say, tousling her hair. Tousling? Is that it? Quit it, she says. But she makes no move to stop you. Then she stretches like a cat, yawning. What time is it? Do we have time for breakfast? I can make eggs. She stretches like a cat. Great, we have werecats too. That was fun, but I don't have time to date anyone right now. I need to let Abby down easy. I definitely want to keep seeing Abby, but I don't want things to get too intense. I think Abby and I could have something deeper. I don't want to screw this up. And thank you for saying so, Dioti. Well, it's just what we call pillow talk, babe. Okay, so we're gonna take it slow, I guess, is what that's saying. You make a face at her. All I have time for is cereal, I'm afraid. You glance at the clock. Make that a cereal bar. I've got to get moving. What time do you think you'll get out of work? Abby says while you're searching for a pair of socks that match. I feel like we should talk. Always great words. Late, you say. Can I try and text you if it's before midnight? At her disappointed look, you cross back over the bed and sit on the edge of it, taking her hand. Hey, you say, I want to give this a try, but you know what kind of hours I'm working. Until this election's over, I have to put my job first. Abby gives your hand a squeeze. I know that, she says. It's just, if this doesn't work out, I don't want to lose my friend, too, you know. Never happen, you promise her, bending over to kiss her forehead. The closer you get to the office, the more the pit in your stomach grows, telling you that you may have made a terrible mistake. Abby is one of your oldest friends, and while you've always wanted more from your relationship, is this really the time? If it leaks, you'll be accused of working the refs, and Abby could lose her job. And if sneaking around puts too much of a strain on your relationship, you could wind up losing a friend as well as a lover. Is a chance at a romantic relationship really worth the risk of losing a good friend? Abby's worth it. I'll take my chances. I know it's a risk, but that just makes it more exciting. The stakes are too high. I can't afford a relationship with Abby right now. Friends with benefits. Does she give you health insurance? Abby's worth it. I highly agree. As soon as you make your decision, a weight seems to lift off your shoulders. You and Abby can work it out together and let the world throw whatever stones it will. All you really have to worry about is winning this election, and there's plenty to worry about. You go about your day putting out fires, soothing ruffled feathers in interdepartmental conflicts, and making 1,000 snap decisions on 1,000 different important issues. One thought bedevils you, though: Thomas's revelation that the mysterious Jonas is Maggie's ex. Not to mention the fact that he's been following you around. What to do about it, though, is the question. Call in a tip to Sergeant Evans. She told me to call with any new information. Keep it quiet. Going to the cops just increases the chance that all this winds up in the press all over again. Talk to Thomas. Maybe the werewolves can deal with one of their own. Talk to Abby. She has contacts and easy access to public records. Contact Jonas myself and let him know he can't intimidate me. A lot of ways to go on this one. Okay. Looks like calling a tip to Sergeant Evans is the majority decision. Thank you, Riley, Evans says. Does she sound just a little bit bored? Mr. Bayer told us about the relationship between Miss Ramirez and this Jonas, but rest assured we're looking into it. I just want to make sure you folks have all the information for your investigation, you say. Her voice, if anything, turns drier. I appreciate your diligence in calling us with everything you come up with. That's not the only thing, you say. Someone followed me home from work the other day, and I think it was Jonas. Mr. Bayer told us he left town, Evans said. Mr. Bayer, what a headache. Well, I guess he came back, you say. There's a long pause at the other end of the line. We'll make sure to investigate it, Evans says at last. Thanks again for calling, Riley. Next chapter. Dog days of summer. Good Lord. August is spilling sticky heat all over the city, and temperatures are rising, including in the office. You walk into the office to find Sandy, the field director, in person for once, in the middle of an argument with Soon Lee. We need to get more money out in the field, Sandy is insisting, waving a finger under Soon Lee's nose. My people are drowning out there. They need equipment, transportation, data. We don't have the money, Soon Lee's voice is calm, but she speaks with the air of someone who's repeating herself for the umpteenth time. I'm not even going there, Gruberslot. Everything we've got is going to the programs already in place, and if we did have any extra... You clear your throat, and they turn to you, startled. Neither one looks guilty, though, and you give them credit for that. They're both doing what they think is best for the campaign, even if they can't agree on what it is. I think we can work this out without shouting at each other, you say mildly. Why don't you both come back to the office with me and we'll talk about the budget? Are you saying Summer is jealous? The truth of the matter is, although you funded the budget last month, this month is looking tougher if fundraising doesn't pick up. Any extra money for Sandy's priorities is going to have to come from somewhere else. Let's see what we're working with here. All right, so we got a little bit more money to work with. We do have to keep in mind that we do eventually owe that 50 grand. Let's see, the finance spending. So we got a couple options here. We can cancel this and switch to this, and that'll save us $5,000. Or we can keep that, or just not do anything. All right, let's hold off on that for now. Field spending. Let's see. Cancel the recruitment project. We can hire staff and keep precincts to manage volunteers and run the voter contract problems. That'll take the rest of the money we have to spend. We could also axe the volunteer program, and it'll save us $5. And right now we don't have a polling budget at all. It would cost us $15,000 to reinstate that. Okay, so Let's see. I think we've got enough money coming in from the high dollar voters. Yeah, polling is really expensive. It's usually what I end up skipping over. I think if we do this in addition to the volunteer recruitment program, maybe we can get the numbers up. So I think this is probably the best use of our money. It's gonna put us at nothing again. Oh, I can only do one or the other. Or no, wait, I can do both. What am I saying? Okay, so we're down with nothing to spend. So hopefully something will come up at us. We could cancel this. You know what? I think we're actually going to go ahead and cancel this and switch to that. That way we have some money in reserve in case something happens. Okay. Leave the financing where it is. Can't do any of that. We're done with the budget. Sandy's less than pleased as she leaves, but she knows it could be worse. Money's always tight at this point in the campaign, after things have gotten interesting but before the public's paying attention, and she knows you could have found other uses for a big chunk of the budget you gave her. Soon Lee gives you a nod as she leaves the room. It's a nice balanced budget, she says. August is the height of silly season, the lull in a political campaign when there's no real news to report, so everyone scrambles to create some. Congress is in recess, which means there are no big votes or contentious debates to drive news coverage. The primaries are over, and the average voter won't start paying attention to the general election until late September. And all the members have fled back to their districts to make the case for re-election and fundraise. Fundy. That means they're engaged in an endless round of media one-upsmanship, trying to do something, anything, to focus the attention of the press and the public on themselves and their campaigns. Normal is no different, of course. As soon as the gavel banged the congressional session to a close, he announced a whistle-stop tour of his district. The gimmick is that he's going to visit every town in the district, talking to voters, engaging on the issues, and, of course, raising money. Friday afternoon's stop is the town of Danvers Mill. It's the largest town in the least populated county in Normal's district, which is to say it's about a pony short of being a one-horse town. Nice description there. It's quaint as hell, though, with an old-time downtown complete with general store, and there are a handful of B&Bs and a popular craft brewery nearby. The reporters you've invited are probably more interested in an excuse to spend the night in an 18th century farmhouse and swill overhopped beer, but it doesn't matter to you why they're coming as long as they show up to cover the event you're holding in Danvers Mill, as soon as you figure out what kind of event you're holding, that is. Sorry to hear it, Misfit Kitten. A barn burner of a barbecue. We'll invite everyone in the Tri-County area and do some retail politics. A high-dollar black tie dinner. We'll invite anyone who's anyone, where anyone means anyone with the ability to write us big checks. A young Democrats mixer. Normal can talk about how he loves to mentor the leaders of tomorrow, and their parents will lead it up and open their wallets. Okay. Got 2 for the barbecue, 1 for the mixer. XH. XH. XH going once. XH going twice. Okay, number 1. All right. Normal won't care if it's a barbecue or a boat christening as long as you give him a soapbox and a microphone. You'll send him out to speak after the voters have gorged themselves on ribs and burgers, and he'll surf home on the waves of applause. You make a few phone calls. It turns out that you can rent a farm for a surprisingly reasonable fee, complete with picturesque tractor and an old-fashioned red barn. Local country music sensations, the Tweedles, D and Dumb, are happy to headline the gig, and a half dozen local and state elected officials jump at the chance to share a fundraiser with Normal who can bring more donors to an event like this on a rainy day than they could on the 4th of July. You find yourself looking forward to the barbecue more than you expected. A little odd fact, a lot of the country music folks that I'm aware of seem to trend more towards Republican. Just for the conservative values thing, but, I imagine there could be Democratic country artists as well. Bring out the garlic bread. You're 3 hours deep into event planning when an email from Divya pops up in your inbox. Check it out, reads the subject line. Inside, you find a link to Good Penny's new campaign ad. In case you want to make some changes after seeing this, I have my team prepare some options. See the links below, Divya writes. Good Penny's spot is a glowing bit of fluff and nonsense talking up her business record. Her meteoric career rise proves that she is a true leader who will work for her constituents from day one, a pull quote from a recent editorial informs you. It doesn't note that Good Penny's business laid off 25% of its staff last year, though, or that Standard & Poor's has considered them a bad credit risk for the last 2 years. Uh-oh. An ad like this deserves a response. Divya's helpfully provide you with an array of options. I want to keep running the ad we have on the air. Let's run a new ad, but keep to a positive tone. I want to tell people why they should vote for Normal, not why they should vote against Good Penny. People need to know the truth about Good Penny. I want to run an ad attacking her. Trump's politics. I see what you did there, Goober. Okay. Yeah, it is interesting. This is more political simulator than it is like, it's like political simulator with a splash of the hair of the dog that bit you. But it's still part of the underlying story. So I'm kind of glad they didn't just do one and totally not the other. Oh, makes sense, XH. You ignore the links labeled negative and start watching the positive spots, looking for the right one. The Right Job talks about Normal's youthful job hopping and points out that once he found the right job, he stayed there for 20 years, rising from the reception desk to the executive suite. Memo from the board quotes public commendations and expressions of support Normal received from the board of directors at his company over the years. It uses phrases like good stewardship and cites rising share prices and company valuation under his leadership. Grace Under Fire talks about Normal's business career during the last big recession and points out that thanks to his careful planning, the company found creative ways to cut budgets and trim fat without costing any jobs. Business Inc. features a series of quotes from the financial press praising Normal's business acumen and record of getting results. Astronomical ROI is how one analysis put it. I thought it said astronomical rot. All right, what do we run? He has an incredible record of getting terrible results. We described it as astronomical rot. But by the way, can you spare a buck for a cup of coffee? Okay. Okay, we're going to run some Brett Butler sitcom reruns. Normal is really proud of his job creation record, and you know he'll love this spot. Voters won't need a chart and a graph to draw the lines between his record and Good Penny's either. The event planning goes off without a hitch, and the stage seems set for a successful fundraiser as the doors open and the guests begin to arrive. You stand just outside watching the cars pull up and trying not to count your checks before they're cashed. A tug on your sleeve pulls you out of this pleasant daydream, and you turn to see Sydney standing beside you. What is it, you ask? We have a problem, Sydney said. You look to where the interns point to see a group of people approaching. They're carrying signs. You squint. The signs say, "Oh no," you groan. What are they doing here? The werewolf rights protesters have followed you to Danvers Mill, it seems. As they get closer, you can see that they are indeed the same group that protests your headquarters. Thomas is hanging back a bit from the rest of the group, but he's there. Hold down the fort, you tell Sydney. I'll take care of this. Congressman Moneypenny. You march down here. Yeah, and also, House Whip Q. You march down the road to toward the protesters who are forming up in a line to shout and chant at the cars as they drive to deposit fundraiser guests. Thomas spots you coming and separates from the rest of the protesters to meet you. What the hell is this, you demand, waving an arm at the protesters. You're following us around now? Come on, Riley, Thomas says. We protested every other event Congressman Nermal has held this election. Okay, they are protesting. Why would this one be any different? You clench your teeth so tightly together that you can hear them grating against each other. I thought, you say, that if we got out of town, we'd have a little peace and quiet. Thomas shrugs, seemingly unaffected by your anger. This is what we do, he says simply. This event is a great way to raise our visibility. You can see people craning their necks to look at the protesters as they drive past. You've got to get them out of here somehow before they can disrupt the event too much. I'm calling the police. Maybe I can get Nermal to talk to them. If they feel like they're being heard, they might go away or at least tone it down. I'll try talking to them myself. I think things about to get ugly. Just one of those things you want to see, even though you don't think it'll work. Yeah. 2, but I don't like it. Okay, well, let's shove his ass into the fire, shall we? Look, what if I ask Lefty to come out here and speak to them for a few minutes, you ask Thomas. Thomas brightens. If you could do that, I can definitely get them to pack it up for today, he says. The congressman's never even acknowledged we exist. Excuse me. The whole point of this is to raise awareness after all. Set up the M2 nest. Launch the garlic pulse. The whole point of this is to raise awareness after all. I'll see what I can do. You're not looking forward to having this conversation with Nermal, but it's the best option you can see. You find Nermal inside, arm around his husband in picture-perfect family values fashion. He's talking animatedly to a semicircle of enthralled guests. You want to interrupt this obvious rapport even less than you want to ask Nermal for help, but you can already hear the chants of the protesters outside. At a break in the conversation, you touch his elbow to get his attention. Sir, there's a bit of a situation outside, you say in a low tone. As quickly as possible, you explain the problem. Yeah, this is pretty nicely progressive. I like it. Yeah. Nermal is annoyed to be interrupted as you explain the problem, his expression turns from annoyance to anger. Riley, what do I pay you for? He asked. I think it's to handle things like these on your own. If you can't do that, maybe I hired the wrong person to manage my campaign. A rebellious part of you wants to point out that Nermal didn't give you this job so much as you inherited it, but that's not going to improve anyone's day. So you bite your tongue and go back out there to try and find a different solution. Yeah, that did not go well. The protesters' chanting gets louder, and they start to march toward the event. A few fundraiser guests pause outside to watch them. Call the police, talk to them yourself. Yeah, I can see this is one of these situations where, we really don't like, gays and lesbians, but at least they're humans, so we'll put them above werewolves. Below straight people, but above werewolves. Yeah. Okay, so talk to them yourself. Sorry you keep getting outvoted here, XH. Conflict resolution, de-escalation, peaceful settlement, sentence fragments. This is exactly the kind of thing you studied in school, albeit from an academic standpoint. Surely you can talk the protesters into standing down for just one day. You clear your throat. The protesters pause in their chanting, looking at you. Thomas takes a step back towards them. They're all ironing. They're all ironing you expectantly. They pulled out ironing boards and hot irons, and they are pressing you flat and getting all the wrinkles out. Good God. They're all eyeing you expectantly. Look, guys, you say, and then find yourself at a loss for words, so you clear your throat again. Let me clear my throat. At last the words come to you. You tell them that they have a very real grievance and that you understand and sympathize with their position. You tell them that if it were you, you'd want to be out there protesting too. But Normal is one of the good guys, you say. Normal is on their side, and what he needs the most right now, what their own cause needs the most right now, is for Normal to get reelected so that he can go on fighting for their rights in Congress. No one is more surprised than you when it works. The protesters listen to you raptly. As you continue speaking, they start nodding. When you finish, they all clap. They don't exactly pick you up and carry you down the street on their backs, but they do start packing up their signs and getting ready to leave. Well, man, when she shovels it, she uses both hands. Thomas catches you by the arm as you're about to go back inside. Thanks for that, Riley, he says, and then with a grin, you know, we'll be back out front come Monday, right? I never expected anything less, you say. Yep, come Monday, it'll be all right. Come Monday, I'll be protesting you, right? He's the werewolf whisperer. I said she there. I still don't know. But Riley, yeah. Riley is a shit shoveler. The garlic tear gas. I'm wondering in this world if that was banned under the Geneva Convention. Yeah. Yeah. The band is playing, the booze is flowing, and Normal is making the rounds of the guests. You're keeping an eye on him, but trying not to hover. He's had plenty of practice at this, and he moves from conversation to conversation with experienced ease. You wish you could stick close enough to him to make sure he's not making too many gaffes, but looking like a helicopter parent isn't going to do either of you any favors. That's her secret. She's a were-helicopter. Yeah. Every full moon she turns into a hind D. Besides, a surprising number of guests, not to mention reporters, are vying for a few minutes of your time as well. That's how he gets to know people. Your phone buzzes with a text from Jillian Shao, a local TV news anchor. Time to chat? You'd promised her an interview with Normal to get her here, and she was less than pleased with the 15 minutes she ended up getting with the congressman. You know you need to do something to make it up to her if you don't want her irritation showing up in her coverage. Airwolf, I didn't even think of that. Well done, XH. How. Before you can respond, someone comes up behind you and takes you by the elbow. It's Kelly Jepson, a local sculptor of some note. Riley, she gushes, I want to thank you again for inviting me tonight. I've had such a wonderful time. Kelly's a bit tiresome at the best of times, but she's got cachet with the artsy set. Keeping her happy can unlock all sorts of doors that open on piles of money, that is. Talk to Kelly, ditch the rest of the event, and talk to Jillian. Oh boy. Yeah. All I'll say is I'll know what I'd do. And that's exactly what I'd do. Because we need money at this point. Any way we can get it. The event is winding down and you just can't handle any more questions. You take a second to check in with Normal, but he's just waiting for his car to pick him up. Jillian is waiting for you at the door. Follow me, she says, all business. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me, Riley. Outside there's a weathered wooden picnic table sitting underneath the... Wait a minute. Did I hit the wrong thing? Oh shit, did I hit the wrong event? Well, we're stuck with it now. Once outside, there's a weathered wooden picnic table sitting underneath a young oak tree. Yeah, we didn't want the reporter. We wanted the art person. So I think I picked the wrong thing. Jillian leads you to the table, and the two of you sit down. So, Riley, she says, this election has certainly had its ups and downs, hasn't it? You try not to squirm under her gaze. Well, I certainly didn't plan to be running the whole thing, you say finally. Yes, Miss Ramirez's death was a terrible tragedy, Jillian says. It must have been a big adjustment for you taking over like that. She steeples her fingers together in front of her with a smile. So now that you're in charge, what's your secret strategy to win this thing? Her smile widens as you try not to squirm again. She has you on the spot and she knows it. I've got a I've got a fantastic team working for me, and I know that they're willing to give their all to see Lefty reelected. I'm going to do my best to give them the tools they need to do that. I'm confident that once we've had the time to reintroduce Lefty to the voters, they'll see that he is just an everyday person like you and me, and they'll respond to that. Lefty's business record and his record in office speak for themselves, and the endorsements we're racking up tell the same story. The people will vote for a record like that. This may be my first time managing a campaign on my own, but it's not my first rodeo. Nice. Lefty has placed a lot of trust in me, asking me to step into Maggie's shoes, and I intend to live up to that trust. By the way, I did step into Maggie's shoes, and they squished from all the blood in them. Okay, so what do we do? Okay, so we got 3, we got 1. We got 4. Okay. The IoT, you've got the tiebreaker. Maybe. DIOT. Oh, isn't still away. DIOT going once, DIOT going twice. DIOT gone. It's up to me then. Okay, so we have 1, 3, and 4. Fantastic team. Once we've had the time to reintroduce Lefty, they'll see. Number 2, honestly. Oh, number 2 is not an option. Okay. As record in office speak for themselves, and the endorsement we're racking up tell the same story. The people will vote for a record like that. Fantastic team. None of these are really good. I'm going to go with number 3. It sounds like you've put some thought into it, Julian says, but they say no plan survives contact with the enemy. Now that Good Penny is on the air and swinging, do you think your campaign will be able to hit back effectively? I certainly hope so, you say, and you both laugh. You can tell she's not totally won over, though. You say good night to Julian and head back inside to check on the aftermath of the event. The catering staff are folding up tablecloths and throwing away trash. Everyone's gone except for Sydney, who's standing in the corner pecking away at a tablet. Hello, Insomniosis. Welcome to the tail end of the stream. Good to see you. Your cab is on its way now, Sydney says as you approach. What are the final numbers, you ask? Sydney shrugs. Not too bad, not too bad. Let me see. Sydney Sydney, you take the tablet, and you scan the numbers quickly, looking for the bottom line. Well, we certainly could have done better. We could have done worse, too, Sydney says, making you bite your tongue on a retort. A honking horn from outside jerks you back to reality. That's probably my cab, you say to Sydney. Need a ride? By the time you get back to your apartment, it's past midnight. You look longingly in the direction of your bed, but square your shoulders, make coffee, and plant yourself on your sofa with your laptop to start working on this week's campaign roundup memo instead. You turn on a local TV news stream in another tab just to have some background noise. The late-night anchor is ramping up a human interest story about a dachshund in Pittsburgh who collects Greyhound fares at the bus station. I guess they outsourced the Greyhound. And now, on a more serious note, she says, local police say they have identified a suspect in the murder of Maggie Ramirez, Congressman Nermal's former campaign manager. You switch to the tab the stream is on and turn up the sound. Over a shot of Sergeant Evans speaking to a crowd of reporters, the anchor says his name is Jonas Vilkas, a member of the militant werewolf rights group F3. Police tonight are warning residents that he could be extremely dangerous. They cut to a picture of Jonas, short, dark-haired, and you pause the stream. There's no doubt about it. It's definitely the same guy who's been following you around. You grab a screenshot and resume playing. Police aren't saying where they think Mr. Vilkas could be. Because police are people too, the anchor says, but sources say they're looking very closely at Halbeck Forest, where rogue lycanthropes are known to congregate during the full moon. You rock back against the sofa cushions. Maggie's angry ex-boyfriend, who probably killed her, is back in town, and he's obsessed with me. You'd been all but sure of it before, but somehow having confirmation makes your head spin. What am I going to do now? Maybe it won't hurt to take some precautions. Jonas doesn't scare me. I'll be fine. I'll ask Thomas to keep his ear to the ground. I'll email Abby and tell her everything I know. I can't rely on anyone else. I need to get some high-caliber protection. Okay, well, we got 5 people voting now. But that's going to be a majority. Yes, perhaps firearms would solve this entire problem. Hey, it works in real life. Fuck. The shop is one more dingy storefront in a rundown neighborhood, firmly on the wrong side of the tracks. If it weren't for the blinking neon sign out front that reads pawn, you'd think it was out of business, but judicious use of Google in incognito mode earlier today confirmed that this is where you need to go. The shop is dimly lit inside, and just as dingy as it was outside. A woman sits behind the counter. Help you? She says when you walk in. That reminds me of a woman, actually, who was at a Burger King near the college, and she always talked in a very light voice, and all she ever said was, help you? And then, like, $3.98. I would go, thank you. She'd be like, yeah. Yeah. Like that. just barely. I've got a problem, you stammer. There's a guy following me around. Looking for a gun? I love that's her first reaction. Like, no, do you sell any panpipes? That should lure him away. She reaches into a display case and pulls out a handgun and sets it on the counter. This one's pretty good for beginners. Your throat is dry. You can't believe you're buying a gun. You can't believe you need to buy a gun. He's a werewolf, you blurt out. Her eyebrows go up. So you're looking for silver bullets, huh? Do you have any? Let me check with my wife. Oh, lesbian couple. Cool. Without turning away or changing expression, she yells, Hey, Mirasol, we got any silver bullets? You fidget awkwardly for a couple of minutes, and then a short-haired Filipino woman comes in from a door at the back of the shop. She drops a small, heavy box on the counter. Last one, she said. Could you not shout? I just got the twins down for their nap. Sorry, the woman behind the counter says. She turns back to you as Mirasol leaves the room. So let's talk price. You blink blearily at the clock on your laptop, which says it's 2 a.m. Wait a minute. Is this a new scene? Did I take my laptop with me? How did it get so late? Weariness sweeps over you in a wave. Jonas or no Jonas, you're not going to get another word of this memo written tonight. The light from its screen becomes a wedge, narrows to a line, and disappears with a click as you close the lid. And the next chapter will be Howling at the Moon, but that's going to be for another session. So in the meantime, we have our self-defense. We have the as many people placated as we possibly can, and we have a possible old friend girlfriend. So things are looking up? Question mark. Yeah. Apparently, we just walked into a one of the shops in one of the ammunitions in Grand Theft Auto and bought the gun. We didn't actually leave the house. Oh boy, either that or we were diligently working on the memo while we were talking to the pawn shop owner. I think at least 4. I've kind of lost track, but I'm pretty sure it's been at least 4. But at any rate, Howl at the Moon will occur on the next episode of Lycanthrokeith's, I had nothing to do with this, I swear, gaming space. Until then, keep your silver and your garlic ready at hand. Beware the moon, stay on the path, until we game again.